Sometimes, rather than watching something too strenuous or starting something new, it can be comforting to just sit down and put on a fun episode of Doctor Who. Now, how you define rewatchable will vary from person to person, but for me, these episodes possessed a certain something that makes them easy to just whack on. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with Who Culture, here with the 10 most rewatchable Doctor Who episodes. Number 10, The Power of Three. Alright, look, I know The Power of Three has its issues. It started off really interesting, but kind of fizzled out towards the end. That said, there are so many memorable and feel-good moments that it's still a very fun episode to watch. Now, it's rare to see the Doctor in a domestic situation, and watching him attempt to adjust to normal life is a real treat. Painting the fence, doing keepy-uppies, and of course, being socially awkward. The whole idea of the slow invasion is something really different in Doctor Who, and it allows us to really spend some quality time with the main trio. Bonus points for the arrival of the marvellous Kate Stewart and unit, who makes the episode almost feel like a crossover special, like when the Doctor would appear in an episode of Class or the Sarah Jane Adventures. Not Torchwood though, he never showed up in Torchwood. The way that the cubes are incorporated into everyday life is also hilariously relatable, with Kate mentioning that they had 1,000 Twitter accounts within a matter of hours. And last but not least, Brian. What a legend. He is peak dad. It's worth rewatching The Power of Three for his scenes alone. Number 9, Boomtown. Boomtown often gets a bad rap, but does it really deserve it? Now don't get me wrong, it's by no means the greatest episode of Series 1, but there's something totally Doctor Who about it that just feels right. A perfect blend of comedy, action, and our main TARDIS team hanging out and having a laugh. It's not a two-parter and it's fairly standalone, but it does a good job of harking back to previous arcs and laying the groundwork for what's to come, without making you feel like you need to watch anything before or after. The Slitheen are also much better here than they were in their debut story, and that's probably because there's one of them who's fairly menacing rather than a group of them farting around Downing Street. I find Boomtown very easy to just stick on and watch. Nothing too plot heavy, nothing too gloomy, but funny and clever enough to be a worthwhile 45 minutes in front of the telly. Number 8, The Power of the Doctor. The Power of the Doctor aired 7 months ago. We're far enough out of the window of recency bias now. So yeah, this is a pretty decent episode of Doctor Who. For the many cameos alone, this is worth watching over and over again. The surprise appearances of David Bradley, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann as their respective Doctors, Sophie Aldred and Janet Fielding kicking ass as Ace and Tegan, and not to mention that companion support group at the end. Plus, Sacha Dhawan gave such a brilliant performance as the Master, to the point that he actually upstaged Jodie Whittaker a bit, and most importantly, provided such an unhinged dance routine that even the Daleks and Cybermen questioned his sanity. And how about that regeneration? The music, the effects, the familiar teeth, what a belter! The Power of the Doctor is an episode of moments. Is the core plot revolutionary? Not really. It's mostly techno-babbly nonsense. But there are at least 4 or 5 scenes here that rank among the most memorable in the show. Moments that don't lose their power even on subsequent viewings. Number 7, Partners in Crime. The return of Catherine Tate as Donna Noble was a brilliant move for Doctor Who. After the heartbreaking departure of Rose Tyler and the unrequited love saga of Martha Jones, it was refreshing to explore a more banter-driven relationship between the Doctor and his companion. And right from the off, the comedic duo of Tennant and Tate is absolutely fantastic. Of course, the most rewatchable moment of the entire episode is when Donna and the Doctor catch each other's eyes through the opposite windows. Pure Doctor Who gold, made even more impressive by the fact that Catherine Tate was given creative freedom to improvise much of the miming Donna performs. We also get to properly meet Wilf in this episode, and the sheer warmth that Bernard Cribbins brought to the role was a lovely addition to the story, and to the series as a whole. Partners in Crime is one of the most fast-paced episodes of the show. It starts at 11 and barely lets up, with non-stop humour, a ludicrously entertaining set piece in a window-cleaning cradle, and a killer ending with Rose Tyler's cameo. It's Tennant and Tate that makes it work so well though, and unsurprisingly, this won't be the last episode on this list to feature them both. Number 6, Heaven Sent. Heaven Sent is such a unique episode of Doctor Who. No TARDIS, no companion, no fun and games. This is a dark story, a commentary on the overbearing overbearing power of grief and loss. There's a sense of mystery to this episode that compels you to watch it again and again. There's no extravagant planet, no campy aliens, no trip back in time, just the Doctor in a castle, trapped in a Groundhog Day style loop, forced to examine his deepest pains and secrets. While obviously not a feel-good episode like most of our other selections, Heaven Sent is rewatchable in the sense that you want to solve it, to understand it. It's also got a legendary performance by Peter Capaldi and some of the best work by composer Murray Gold, both of which are worth reliving, constantly on a loop. What on Gallifrey did I just watch? Many fans no doubt exclaimed when it first aired in 2015. Well, there's one way to answer that question. Watch it again. Number 5, The Unicorn and the Wasp. The Unicorn and the Wasp doesn't have much meat on its bones, but it's incredibly good fun regardless. A classic murder mystery full of suspicion and humour, topped with a Doctor Who twist. The comedy duo of Tennant and Tate is once again on full display, bringing some much needed light-heartedness following the darker tones of the Doctor's daughter the week before. While there are several murders here, the elevated Agatha Christie whodunit approach makes for an exciting and tongue-in-cheek homage to that format. And to top it all off, it even gives a semi-accurate history lesson on the real-life disappearance of Agatha Christie. And look, we can't not mention Donna's little guessing game as the Doctor tries to describe what he needs to detox the poison. What do you want, a Harvey Wallbanger? How is Harvey Wallbanger one word? And how about Donna at the end, piping up in the background while the Doctor does his grand concluding speech? This is definitely one of the funniest episodes the show has ever done. Number 4, The Doctor's Wife. The Doctor's Wife is a fan favourite episode of Doctor Who. After almost 50 years, the TARDIS takes humanoid form for the first time. She has a voice and a body and can finally talk to the Doctor in the way she's always wanted to. This is another episode that explores the whole spectrum of emotional beats. From the funny, Idris giving herself the name Sexy, to the scary, House tormenting Amy and Rory inside the TARDIS, to moments of anguish and sorrow as Idris says goodbye, or hello. It's a real treat for long-term fans to spend time with the TARDIS in this way, and the episode takes advantage of this by providing a whole slew of Easter eggs and references. From the 9th and 10th Doctor's control room to Idris scolding the Doctor for always opening the TARDIS doors incorrectly. It's a beautiful story that explores the relationship between the Doctor and their oldest friend, and it's one of those episodes that just has a certain magic about it, something that makes it a top candidate for a rewatch no matter what mood you're in. Number 3, The 11th Hour. Matt Smith's debut as the 11th Doctor proved he was perfect for the role within about 5 minutes. The 11th Hour feels like a breath of fresh air, from the new tone and look of the show, to the different style of music, to the new location. There are some wonderful flourishes with the camera and some strong performances from our new protagonists that immediately squashed many reservations about their ability to take on such daunting roles. It's just impossible to watch this one without a huge smile on your face. Fish Custard, the crack in the wall, Jeff, basically, run. It's remarkable how many iconic moments Stephen Moffat managed to cram into an hour of telly. It's like singing along to your favourite song. You know all the great moments are coming, but there's a certain comfort in rewatching them. Matt Smith got the best conceivable start to his time on Doctor Who, and it's no surprise that the 11th Hour is commonly ranked as the greatest post-regeneration story in the show's history. Number 2, The Day of the Doctor. The Day of the Doctor is rewatchable for so many reasons. First and foremost, it's epic. A literal cinematic experience that pulled out all the stops to provide a memorable 50th anniversary. Big moments like this are always going to have a strong rewatch factor, and that's no different here. Like the power of the Doctor, there's also so much fan service that it's simply not possible to catch it all after just one viewing. The Black Archive alone is packed with several blink and you'll miss it nods to previous episodes and characters. But unlike the power of the Doctor, The Day of the Doctor actually has a strong plot. There's the long-awaited exploration of the Great Time War, which sheds new light on our hero, all three of them, and makes them feel like a different person at the end. John Hurt as the War Doctor was a real treat, and with this being his only appearance as the character, it's entirely necessary to watch it countless times to relive his brilliant turn. Oh, and Tom Baker is the curator. Enough said, really. Number 1, School Reunion. School Reunion was a special episode of the 2005 revival. The return of Sarah Jane Smith was the perfect way to bridge the gap between the classic and modern eras of the show, and the reunion itself was beautifully done. Admittedly, the Krillitane CGI is now a little outdated, but that's not the point here. School Reunion is all about our main characters, and it does so much with them. From the heartfelt reunion between the Doctor and Sarah Jane, to the jealous banter between Sarah Jane and Rose, to the Doctor finally giving Sarah Jane the goodbye she'd wanted for decades. Goodbye, my Sarah Jane. I'm not crying, you are. A bittersweet ending, sure, but overall, this is an episode that will always put a smile on my face anyway. Seeing Sarah Jane again, watching her get closure with the Doctor, and not to mention, it's just a solid episode, with some good laughs and the goodest robot dog in all of time and space. Of course, Sarah Jane later returned to the show with her own spin-off, but School Reunion was the catalyst for all of that, so it's always fun to just go back and revisit it. And that concludes our list. Now obviously this is massively subjective, so let us know in the comments down below which episodes you think are the most rewatchable, but let's remember to be kind. While you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell, and head over to Twitter, Instagram and TikTok to follow us there. And I can be found across all those social medias as well, just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with Who Culture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.